Live from Johannesburg, this is SABC News Prime Time. If you've just joined us, welcome to our SABC3 viewers. Let's take a quick look at your headlines. The tragic events of Black Wednesday remembered as President Jacob Zuma hosts the media on the eve of Press Freedom Day. And then rooting out spies and whistleblowers, Parliament outraged at newspaper claims that it's on an aggressive onslaught against its own staff.
Way too close for our life, absolutely.
I thought the Wales played well, but the Springboks came through. Go Bokke! Go Bokke!
Well, fans praising the Springboks' fighting spirit after a bruising encounter against Wales. President Jacob Zuma has addressed senior journalists and editors at the Presidential Guest House in Pretoria ahead of National Press Freedom Day tomorrow. He shared his personal experiences in the firing line of hard-hitting headlines. This comes on the heels of the ANC's National General Council, where they pushed for a resolution calling for a media tribunal.
A gathering to observe the 38th anniversary of one of South Africa's darkest periods, 18 October 1977. Or Black Wednesday, saw the banning of newspapers, The World and The Weekend.
I'm saying
now, 38 years later, media freedom is enshrined in the South African Constitution. During his interactions with the media, President Jacob Zuma shared personal experiences to illustrate how media headlines have negatively affected his family.
if she is a mother of kids and you say things that are very embarrassing about her, the government does not say so. Government does not deal with people like that. You have freedom to say even the most personal things. Untested in any kind of thing is your own allegations, and you go to town. What will her children say? Is my mother like this? That's a problem.
And the issue of Nkandla also came in for discussion.
President Jacob Zuma says that while media freedom and freedom of expression is a right that is enshrined and protected by the Constitution, the media shouldn't abuse that privilege.
Zuma has squandered 250 million rands at Nkandla. That's what you said. There's been an investigation done, and it has been proved that, in fact, Zuma did not take even half a penny. We've never brought back to say, sorry, our sources were wrong. Zuma did not indeed eat that money. It's not corrupt.
The president also took time to update the media on the proposed information bill. Violent protests were also a worrying factor. The president raised concern, particularly on the destruction of property by protesting students in institutions of higher learning.
Whether the workers are striking, there's violence. Whether the communities are protesting, there's violence. Whether the students are protesting, there's violence. So it is a societal problem. Our view is that we'd never addressed it properly.
Meanwhile, the SA National Editors Forum has welcomed President Zuma's defense of media liberties.
It's always encouraging to hear President Jacob Zuma speak about media freedom, because this is a significant part of our country, and I think as the South African National Editors Forum, it's really important to know that media freedom is something which the President himself takes very seriously.
On Monday, the country will officially commemorate Black Wednesday. The South African National Editors Forum has confirmed it will also hold its own event in Johannesburg. Dumalo Mohlaudi, SABC News, Pretoria.
Parliament has denied a newspaper report that it's clamping down on its staff. The paper claims Parliament is deliberately targeting its own staff in a bid to root out spies and whistleblowers. The report also claims that staff were warned about certain journalists and NGOs being identified as agents of foreign governments. Lucanio Kalata has more from Parliament.
Malicious. That's how Parliament has responded to the Sunday Times article. The paper claims that in several meetings held last week, state security agents, under the guise of vetting their security clearances, told Parliament staff that at least 2 journalists working in Parliament and 1 NGO were spies for French and US governments. But Parliament denies labelling any journalist or organization a spy.
The statements about us targeting the media, targeting civil society and so, they're malicious. They don't come from any official document of Parliament or any statement that has been issued by Parliament, either verbally or in writing. They are actually coming from the journalists themselves. And those people they refer to as sources. They don't come from Parliament.
The NGO accused of spying is the Right to Know, who campaigned heavily against the Protection of State Information Bill. They've dared their accusers to prove their claims that they work for foreign governments.
We've seen this with NUMSA, we've seen this with various citizen activists, we've seen this with our very own public protector, as well as opposition political leaders being accused either of working for the CIA, which is completely outrageous and unsubstantiated. So we're not surprised, but at the same time we are concerned that these kind of allegations are being made which are simply not substantiated by the accusers.
NEHAU, which represents the majority of Parliament's staff, says it will first seek clarity from Parliament's management on the matters before them before commenting. Lukhanyo Chalada, SABC News, Parliament.
The Commission for the Protection of Religious and Linguistic Rights is turning up the heat on churches. It wants them to declare the sources of their wealth and to provide audited financial statements. It also wants churches to stop abusing the poor with promises of wealth and prosperity.
The Commission wants churches to account. It says most don't have proper financial statements and no records of how much money is collected or how it's spent. They want proof that churches are registered as non-profit organizations. A number of churches have been issued with summons to appear before the Commission.
If you do not submit the documentation we have asked for, you will be arrested because we are going to lay a charge according to the CRL Act. It empowers us to go to the police station. So we've issued summons. We've asked the sheriff to give you summons. And if you ignore those summons or you hide the information, we will be going to the police station to lay a charge because you've then committed a criminal offense.
The Commission says churches as NPOs are not supposed to make profits. In this church, they sell anything from Vaseline to water and other memorabilia. Despite the Commission's call, the church says it will continue selling its water.
The reason we are selling faith water is because it's a prophetic instruction that we are following, that everything branded Dr. H.Kuna's name will perform miracles, and it is performing miracles. We've got so many testimonies of people who have received miracles, but we cannot give the water for free because we are not getting it for free.
The Commission says with these hearings, it hopes to stop the commercializations of religions and the abuse of the poor by some churches. The sittings will be held throughout the country. Bridget Shange, SABC News, Durban.